You're listening to episode 387 of the Major Issues Podcast. And on this episode, we are covering Judge Dredd just in time for its 30th year anniversary. The Major Issues Podcast starts right now. Hello, everybody out there in comic book land. My name is George Serrano, aka The Don, and if you're listening to this, you can only be here for one reason. And it's a brand new episode of the Major Issues Podcast, brought to you each and every week by ComicBookClique.com. And as always, I am never alone. Sir, in alphabetical order, if you could please introduce yourself.
Hey, it's Alex Garcia, aka The Cog, ready to talk about some Judge Dredd, Stallone style.
Hey, but you know what?
It's gonna be fun.
I got one cadet, but he ain't the only one here. Other sir, if you could please introduce yourself.
I am Armando Santes, Empty Plate, Gregory Thomas, aka GT Rebirth.
GT Rebirth is here in the dystopian hell that is Mega City 1. We are here to discuss for its 30th year
really
anniversary.
Just like retro futuristic New York City from the late 80s.
Yes, 100%. We are here to talk about the most 80s movie to come out of the 90s. Judge Dredd, 1995, starring Sylvester Stallone. It's the 30th year anniversary of this film. Definitely of its time, but more importantly, I had never seen this movie before. I distinctly remember the VHS being something that my dad owned. I would visit him on weekends, but it looked too dark and gloomy. Like it didn't excite me. I would have been 6 or 7 when this came out. So at the time,
like curled, scowling mouth.
Yeah, it just looked very dark and grim as a kid. You know, it just looked like a dark city and people were shooting each other in the face and stuff. I had nothing against it. I just had never seen it. And I knew offhand what they would, like the scuttlebutt around this film, how people felt about it at the time and stuff. But I had no real major this is one of those blind spot IPs for me. I didn't have a real deep background in the comics, so I had way less to offend, I guess, watching it for the first time. But before I get into my first round thoughts of this film and we get into our full recap and review, Alex, I believe you were saying off mic that you had actually seen this film in theaters. So I'm going to need you to date yourself a little bit here, and I'm going to need you to kind of explain to me what you can remember surrounding this film, whether it's the advertisements, whether it was scuttlebutt between friends, and your experience watching it after the fact.
This was quite the mixture of emotions with this movie. My father was a massive Sylvester Stallone fan. So if it said Sylvester Stallone, that's all that mattered. We saw Oscar in theaters. We saw Don't Stop or My Mom Will Shoot in theaters. We saw Judge Dredd in theaters. And for me, I was hyped because I'm like, this is a comic book character, But I knew very little of this character outside of Wizard magazine. Wizard every now and again would talk about Judge Dredd and the lore behind Judge Dredd in an article here or there. But finding the comic books or the magazines that he was featured in was damn near impossible at that time. So I didn't know the satirical nature of it. I would just see panels, and in the interviews in Wizard, I just remember I guess it just didn't click the way it was being discussed. But I just remember this image being striking, even in the comic panels, him just like punching people through the face. I am the law, just big old bikes and crazy ammunitions. And for a young teenage kid, this is great. I mean, it's basically the Punisher, right? Who doesn't love the Punisher at some point in their life? Unless you get to nowadays with all the fusions. It's crazy. Like so for me, I remember going to see this in theaters and thinking this was awesome.
Yeah,
explosions and Sylvester Stallone and the costumes. This was amazing. But watching it again, I'm just like, oh my god! Like there's so much going on here.
It's a lot like Starship Troopers, where if you're too young to understand it, it's just a bunch of dudes killing bugs with big guns, and you're not getting what it's saying right to your face.
Right.
Yeah. I also
And the
call
best
that the
part is,
Scott Pilgrim effect.
I don't think the production team quite got what this is
Yeah.
really trying to say.
What's interesting, and I want to say up front, is that there's a lot said that Sylvester Stallone had a lot to do with how this film came out, even going to great
Shocking.
lengths to do, step over the director to get some of his cuts and things his way. He was adamant about two things. One, that he never read a Judge Dredd comic, and two, he felt Judge Dredd should be an action comedy. I feel like those two things disqualify each other. If you've
I
never read the
knew
source
you'd say
material,
that.
I don't think you get to then say, I feel like this should be this if you've never read it. But yeah, he was adamant that this be an action comedy. It goes so far as I want to say the director is Danny Cannon, and he
Yeah.
was saying that like if he has it his way, he would never work with Sylvester Stallone ever again. One of the most unprofessional actors that he had ever worked with, like a production nightmare, basically. Now Stallone was riding high, like he was a name.
Yeah.
He got you into the theater, you know. But do you think his star power was enough to carry this, GT?
I I don't think he's one of the strengths of this movie.
Interesting.
I think the strongest thing in this film about Stallone is that jawline.
Yeah, yeah. There's part of me that wish that like Diane Lane did a little bit more. She was amazing in that.
Oh, don't get me started on Diane Lane. Oh, buddy.
She
Hold
was
on
pretty
one
damn cool.
moment. I gotta step away.
There, there's a world in which this gets re-released and they're like, oh, why'd they make the woman do all this, do the investigation and yeah. But I'm sitting there like that's Superman's mom. But I know her from that other movie with is it Richard Gere?
Richard Gere, The Affair.
Yeah, bro. Young George on The Affair. I was like, what? I was like, I think it's called Unfaithful, right?
Unfaithful.
It's
That's right. Yes,
Unfaithful,
yes,
yeah.
yes,
And
yeah.
I'm sitting there
Mhm.
like, damn, Diane Lane, I ain't, I was not aware of your talents. But yeah, I think that she's great in this. Rob Schneider is not terrible in this. When I saw him, I had like the hairs in the back of my neck stand up. But he's not anywhere like this. I feel like if they couldn't have gotten him, they would have put like John Leguizamo in this. You get me? Like
Yeah,
they would have
yeah,
just
but
put some comedian in it to do the same lines of like, well, that just happened, kind of stuff. And it's just like, it wasn't offensive to me because I guess because it felt like everything at this time, especially. I mean, we just reviewed Batman Forever, same year.
right.
Everything at this time had that weird mix of like we want to be a serious action thing, and then nah.
Well, no, and that for me. I remember as when I saw this in theaters, loving it. Right, Rob Schneider, he's coming off hot. He's big on SNL. He's
Yeah.
showing up in other weird movies here and there, and funny. But I'm
Oh no,
watching
did
this
I miss
now.
all the Diane Lane and walk into the Rob Schneider?
No, no,
Yeah,
no.
I'm.
All I said was talking about
Yeah,
her unfaithful,
The
unfaithful. We're
unfaithful.
gonna get.
Oh yeah, that what everyone keeps going to that one.
I'm telling you, bro. Hey, what's
No, yeah,
Cinemax?
keep going.
No, but
no,
I
so
was just saying that I didn't think that Rob Schneider was like when I saw him, I had a triggered effect. I thought he
Right.
was going to be worse than he was. This is not Rob Schneider at the height of his power.
Okay. It's
This is
close.
not. This is
this is
not the
not Deuce
hot chick.
Bigelow. This is not Deuce
No,
Bigelow.
this is
No.
not when he turns into the animal or whatever, or the hot chick,
Mhm.
or any of that kind of stuff. He's not.
I
He's
liked
not
in
there
South
yet.
Park. I liked in South Park when he turned into the stapler. I really liked
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. I remember that those trailers and stuff. But what were you saying about Rob?
No, it just watching it now, I was sitting there going, man, there's a script out there of this movie that doesn't have him in it at all.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm convinced of that. That somebody wrote this and said, we don't need this guy at all. This is just going to be a straight action, very serious movie. And then somebody going, no, we need some comedy lines in here from a comedic character.
Well, it
Let's get
was
this guy
Stallone doing it. It was
Yeah.
Stallone constantly. Hey, I'll be like,
Estelle Getty wasn't available, so they were like, let's get Rob.
100%. They're like, hey,
And it's
this
really
part with my
supported by
brother is
the
not
fact
funny
that
enough.
like most of his stuff is like it's not even like he's playing a character. It's just like they just wrote Rob Schneider jokes.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. It kind of goes into just like, well, that happened territory. Like it's just like,
Yeah.
like the funny one-liners of the stuff there. Um, I, if you are trying to pivot this as a action comedy, I feel like Judge Dredd as a character comes off like kind of ridiculous. Is that the point?
I
Like
think so.
if we're saying
I
that this is an action comedy, how are we supposed to be rooting for this like almost uber macho gun that like shoots through walls, fucking, shoulder pads, Legion of Doom style the guy here. I found myself wondering whether or not, because the big thing is a lot of people are saying this is a bad film. And
Okay.
I don't know if I've made my definitive decision yet. Because to me, this movie is a blend of almost everything they were doing in the 90s with the
Right.
dystopian stuff, with the buddy cop stuff, a little bit of, a dash of 80s action tropes sprinkled in through here. But like
Yeah.
90s was all about this like dystopian, right? Like in the future, everything's
It
gonna
is
suck.
not at
And
all too dissimilar from Demolition Man.
right, you were just talking about that, and Rob Schneider was also in Demolition Man. Isn't there a female sidekick in that too?
Sandra
Sandra
Bullock.
Bullock.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
That movie had
The
a that
man
movie
knows what
had
he
a
wants.
that movie had a better script
It
and
did.
it had a better villain. I mean,
yeah.
Wesley Snipes as Simon
Oh no,
Phoenix.
no, no. Phoenix.
Phoenix was
Yeah.
fantastic. I've watched Demolition Man over the course of my life dozens of times.
It
Judge
also had
Dredd
Jesse
maybe
Ventura.
3 times.
Yeah, Jesse
That's
Ventura.
right.
But this feels like he got to the set of Judge Dredd and was like, I got some changes to make, and he just got them from Demolition Man. It's like, I
Well,
don't
like
know what this
I
Judge
also
movie.
brought this guy over. He was pretty funny.
Yeah, but and don't worry. In no way is he going to agree with everything that I say because I am the biggest action star in this film, and I've now brought him as part of my cadre to this film. I'm pretty sure he's not going to side with me on every creative decision when it comes to Judge Dredd. To the point that I think they added a scene at the end where he's still alive, Rob Schneider,
Yeah.
because you saw that, right? Because he's like, oh, So apparently in both the novelization of this film and the
The
script
original
or the book,
comic.
the original comic, he dies. He's dead.
He's dead.
But they were like, well, it's
The
Rob.
yeah.
All the
Yeah,
Rob
he
heads are
takes
gonna
one
get
of these
mad. He's dead.
incredibly powerful. Well, we'll talk about it later.
You're good. But GT, guys, to swing it around to you, what's
Yes,
your
yes.
history around this film? Do you remember the last time you saw it before you saw it for this? And does your has your opinion changed at all?
I think the last time I saw it might have been around 2 years ago. I think at some point I thought fortunate enough to find that like Netflix had this and Dread both on their system. So I was like, okay, I've never seen either of these, and this is the kind of thing I sort of enjoy. Like I can sit down and I can watch the old one, I can watch the new one, and I know people felt a particular kind of way about Carl Urban, a good way. So to
Yeah.
be clear, about the Carl Urban version, and I know that I had known that Carl Urban was a lot more, how do you say, faithful to the comic book depiction of the character. So I was excited to sort of judge them one after another with both
No pun
films kind of
intended.
fresh. Yes, I knew you'd say that. Uh, and what I got out of this was like my opinion hasn't changed. I think it's just kind of fun and stupid.
I don't think it's harmful. I've seen a lot of harmful comic book movies where it's just like you've
Yeah,
not. But I also don't want to discredit those who are ride and die dreadheads because I don't know anything from this. So it's like it's almost like right around the time I saw Man of Steel. Like when I first saw Man of Steel, I was like, why the fuck would anyone be mad about this? Why would anyone have anything to say about this? But I didn't really dig Superman. So I was like, this is awesome. And similarly, I feel like this fits in with a lot of the media at the time. I wouldn't have shrugged watching this and then like this and Demolition Man back to back or Men in Black or any of those like weird like sci-fi. This is like there's bits of like Super Mario Brothers in this, you know what I'm saying? Like with the
Yeah.
design of all of
Wow.
it. Like
Yeah.
this is very much of that. It just feels like it's of that like kind of stew. But
Dark City kind of
yeah,
sci-fi stuff.
100% dystopian
Whoa, Dark
sci-fi.
City is a great movie, though.
Not
Don't.
that. That's not what I meant. Literal Dark City.
But I will say though, like it's funny watching it because I was aware of the sort of back and forth between the director and Stallone in this, and
Hmm.
I got when watching it, I got Black Adam vibes. I got
Oh
like
wow.
this guy is bigger than the character, and so we need to kind of just watch the actor be the actor. It's not really
Yeah.
about who Dredd is. That's like secondary. It's about who Stallone thinks or wants Dredd to be and how Stallone
Right.
wants Dredd to look. You know, I thought it was kind of funny at points. I thought like just giving people like random arbitrary sentencing. I mean, that's dire and bleak, but in the course of the film, like hey, oh yeah, 5 years for whatever. Like I thought that was pretty
Mhm.
interesting. I love the set design. I love the bikes. I love the gear. It looks like they're wearing like scuba suits and then just metal shoulder pads. And, like
Yeah.
without the other stuff, it just looks like a leotard, and then they're just putting on other stuff around it. But I like that it kept that way. Stallone has kind of a weird shape in this. Like I feel like he tapers off at the legs. He kind of
Mm.
looks like a V in a lot of ways.
No, not
Um,
enough leg day for Stallone.
no, he didn't know they were going to be shooting him in those like 6 inch tall boots or whatever the heck he was wearing in this thing.
Well, Stallone is a short guy, so they made those boots real big so he would maintain that presence. So
Mm.
Yeah. Also, as a kid, I used to think that the parodies of Stallone were a little bit mean in the way that he mumbles, but this motherfucker
hey,
mumbles, man. This
hey,
motherfucker
yo.
mumbles. Boy, he mumbles. He's not as bad as in I think it was Guardians 2 or 3, where he's just like, hey, Nebula, Gamora. And I'm like, bro,
Yeah,
open your
like
mouth.
He's having a stroke. Leave him
Yeah,
alone. He's in
right.
his
Yeah.
70s, man. Leave him alone.
Oh my God. Yeah, we still
like
got him. God
everyone sort of
bless.
there's the idea that he always talks like Rocky, which is him pushing the mumble thing.
He's not.
But like
Yeah. Oh.
but like there are moments where he tries to speak really lowly and it's just like you believe me, don't you?
Yeah. No, Rico, Rico. I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah, you know I'd never
Ah.
hurt you.
Plus, we this. I mean, he did get punched on that set of that film, did he not?
Yeah.
Am I making that up? I feel like he did get punched pretty hard on the set of that film, once or twice. We don't know how punch drunk old Sly is nowadays. Um, the other hot rumor was that Schwarzenegger wanted this role, or was thought to be for this role. I don't
Shocking.
know if he would have. I don't know. I feel like this is too Terminator. This is like, I don't know, but who knows? They were doing a lot of this stuff at the same time. I feel like Jackie Chan's been doing the same role for the last 20 years.
Oh no! Leave me alone. Leave me alone.
I don't want to fight. I can
I don't
fight.
want to
Oh,
fight, but
here's a mop, and here's a
Hadouken.
kill you with a
Like yo.
pregnancy test. Out of control.
Do
But
you
what do you
think
think about
Schwarzenegger would have been
Schwarzenegger?
more willing to like do the comic book stuff?
I wa- does Schwarzenegger have a history of being like super egotistical or super like this movie has to be? I don't know much about like him on set for stuff.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't either, honestly.
Yeah, no.
interesting.
I've heard he definitely had the same. But I mean, what you can't help but be that, right?
Yeah,
When you roll on a movie set and know the whole reason that this movie's being made and what people are gonna go watch is you. I mean, look, I can think of Tom Cruise, right?
yeah,
Hmm.
He puts it out there that I'm in control of Mission Impossible.
right.
The
Yeah.
director's there just so he can say cut, but I'm telling him when to say cut. So I mean, this is typical of the
He's like,
industry. Typical.
he's like, so I got a new safety guy.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
I that's why I was wondering. Like, I wonder if they could have convinced Schwarzenegger just to keep the helmet on or whatever the entire time. Because there was no way that it was the same thing. Like I said with the Black Adam of it all. Like he was never going to get the ears. He was never going to do the hair because he wouldn't do that.
Or
But
the
he should have
accent.
done that. Yeah, or the accent. He should have done that. That's why a lot of people are positing whether or not this should have been cast by like an unknown. But then no one would have come to watch it, especially
Hmm.
in the '90s where people weren't just watching unknown people for whatever reason, right? Who do you put on the poster?
And then you got some poor young man just getting out acted by Diane Lane.
Yes, yes, you do. And
Yeah.
there's like two posters for this that came out. There's like the poster where you see the helmet or whatever, and it says like Judge Dredd or whatever. But
Hmm.
there's another one that's like Sylvester Stallone without the helmet at all, just with a gun pointed at the thing, and like that's the one that they want. That's gonna bring people
Right.
in because it's
Yeah.
Stallone on the cover of it. So I think we're well past the day where we need a star to get a project greenlit. But this is just like to me a symptom of that time, right?
Yeah.
And I do love this weird era of like almost schlocky, kind of funny, super macho action film. Like I think this is very
Oh
Americana.
yeah.
I think it's baked into our culture, like very much. I have nothing against it, and I also love the urban legend that like Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger have always like, especially in this time, were like neck and neck with trying to get
Yeah.
roles. So then they would like lie about roles so that other people would take on projects that they didn't want to take on, thinking, well,
Nice.
I wasn't gonna do that, but they called Arnold. So if I say yes, then who knows? It could be the next Terminator, or vice versa. It could be the next
Right.
Rambo, kind of stuff there. So that's all funny there.
What's the
But
movie where Stallone is playing the Terminator?
is it where's Stallone? Is it Last Action Hero?
Yeah, where
Yeah,
they pass the plastic stand up.
yeah. There's a standee of Arnold in Last Action Hero. There's a standee of uh
Stallone.
Stallone as
Stallone.
Terminator.
Yes.
Yeah, as Terminator
Yeah.
in that. Yeah, as just what
There it
one of
is.
those jokes in there. Um, but before we get into our full recap, let me do a little bit of homework up front. Judge Dredd is a 1995 American science fiction action film based on the long-running 2000 AD comic strip of the same name. Directed by Danny Cannon, the film stars Sylvester Stallone as Judge Dredd, a hardline law enforcement officer in the dystopian future city of Mega City 1, where judges serve as judge, jury, and executioner. The supporting cast includes Armand Asante, did I say that right?
Mhm.
Uh,
Hmm.
Diane Lane, Rob Schneider, Joan Chen, Jurgen Prochnow, and Max von Sydow. The film was shot entirely at Shepperton Studios in the UK and was released by Buena Vista Pictures on June 30th, 1995, a couple weeks short of its 30th year anniversary. But yeah, 30 years. Um, Let's get into it because I think I will have more to talk about as we kind of comb through this. So, spoiler for a 30-year-old film. I'm saying that because
Mm.
I didn't see it as of a couple days ago. So, if you still want to watch Judge Dredd, pause this, go check it out. Here's another thing. It is a brisk 90-minute film.
Yeah.
For the grace of God, it is just a brisk 90-minute film. This is the 387th episode of this podcast. I've been doing synopsis and breaking down and notes on several films, several comic series. It was kind of relaxing to just be like, and then this happened, and then this person
And
said,
then it was
because
over.
it's very cut and dry. But yeah, like that's why I think like I don't think it's malicious. I don't think I was ever bored with it. There was some stuff that, like I said, again, it might have been a bit cliche, but there's never a part where I'm just like, by the time I'm like hurrying it up already, we're introducing clones, and I'm like, what? They,
Yeah, I was
my
gonna say I don't
favorite
think you
part of
have
this,
time to be bored.
a little bit moving forward, my favorite part of this is when they're like, that photo, they must have used CGI. I'm like, oh yeah, Photoshop's not a thing yet. They're like, they must have used
Right.
computer graph. Let me, go back to the previous version of this photo. I mean, we did such a
It's
high advancement in technology in 30 years that everything from the 90s when it deals to high technology looks hilarious. It
Right.
all looks crazy. Alfred DJing with a CD on in Batman Returns.
No, right?
Like,
I still think it's
what are we doing?
I still think it's hilarious the way Mission Impossible 1 looks.
Yes.
It's the
Yeah.
way they talk about computers.
Was it this? It was the first or second one where they just like Google. There's no Google because there is no Google at the time. But he's like in chat rooms or something like that. He's like in the
Yeah,
I'm in the dark web, whatever the fuck,
it
and
was
he's
just
just looking stuff up. I'm like, this is not how computers work. But it's neither here nor there. So in the third millennium, Earth has become largely uninhabitable. Basically a wasteland known as Cursed Earth, where remains of
Mhm.
humanity is crammed into a massive, overcrowded mega cities where crime runs rampant and the traditional justice system has crumbled. To maintain order, a new kind of law enforcement has emerged: the judges, who serve as judge, jury, and executioner. The most feared and respected of these judges is Judge Dredd, played by Sylvester Stallone, a relentless and by-the-book enforcer operating in Mega City 1. When a violent block war erupts, Dredd quells the chaos alongside rookie Judge Hershey. And I'm like, so we're gonna get a Hershey kiss, right? Like that's what this that's
Mm.
what they've done this for, right? I'm like, this is, and then we get it at the end. I go, there's Hershey's
There it
kiss
is.
right there.
Mm. I hate it.
Obviously, Greg hates that kind of stuff. Um, rookie Judge Hershey, played by Diane Lane, showcasing his brutal efficiency. I think they did a pretty good job in the beginning here with the whole like people knowing of him. Like, like, oh,
Right.
that's Judge Dredd. Oh, it's Judge Dredd. Oh, Judge Dredd is here. What's he doing?
Yeah.
Um, I like I said, I don't know how badass or how comedic it should be when he just rolls up and stands there and just starts yelling sentences out loud, right? He's just like, everybody get in, or this entire block is under arrest. And I'm like, what is
Right.
going on here? Yeah, like what is
Right.
going on here?
Right.
Everyone has
Well, you have
super
to think.
good.
You have to think at one point or another that probably worked, right?
Yeah, yeah, right?
So
Yeah, yeah.
he's probably just thinking, okay, I'll give them a chance because this sometimes works.
Yes.
All right, now I'm just gonna kill everybody.
Yeah. And again, because of my background, it's just very hard to me to believe that just everybody else in Mega City 1 is shitty. Like in general, like if everyone's packed, they say it early on, right? That's like 6 million people packed into a place 4 million people are supposed to be in or something, I think they say.
Right.
That's why one of the
Hmm.
judges is like, we should just start killing people instead of arresting them, as a form of, dealing with this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Well,
But
I mean, the movie starts where Rob Schneider one is getting out of prison
yep,
and he's being escorted to his new living arrangements.
yep,
And it
Well,
quickly establishes that there's definitely some barriers in the socioeconomic statuses.
yes,
You
there's
know,
something I don't want to
they're
skip over here.
flying they're flying past, the penthouses, people swimming in pools, everybody's having a great time. And even Rob's like, "Oh, that's where I'm supposed to be. That's where I'm supposed to be." And they're like, "No." And they just slowly descend into like hell. And
yeah,
they're just
Yeah.
like, "Now this is where you're at." And one of the first things he hears when he goes into the building he's living in is eat recycled food.
yes.
It's
Fun,
good for
fun,
you.
fun. Yeah,
It's just
it's
like,
showing
oh.
it's showing the revolving door of crime, right? Like
Mhm.
you get out, and then you have a very low threshold to break out of that cycle. You get put in a position where crimes are happening around you, and next thing you know, you're arrested again. Then it happens in a 24-hour period for this guy. But what you were saying, GT?
Before we get too far through the beginning,
Sure.
I don't want us to not miss out on the fact that for some reason we pay James Earl Jones good money to run
Yes.
through the setting
Yes.
and nothing else.
We have, like I said, I now get to watch these movies
A
alongside.
crawl?
Yeah, I get to see these movies alongside CBC correspondent Jessica, and I turned and I went, "Is that Darth Vader? That's Darth Vader,
Yeah.
right?" I was like, "Why is Darth Vader giving me Judge Dredd lore?"
Yeah, that's something I completely forgot about this movie. And when I heard the movie, I immediately thought, did I put on Star Wars? Like, what the hell's going on? But
Is he credited
he is credited. He is
in
He
credited.
is,
like
yeah.
And
narrator,
a
George
narrator,
O.
Yeah.
Jones?
narrator. And you could
Okay,
tell this was probably a favor. They probably called him up and were like, "Yo, look, we faxed you this thing we want you to read for this movie. We just sent you, $50,000." And he's like, "Okay, I will read this."
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, he's one of the most iconic voices of all time. So I'm like, yeah, they got him for that. Um,
This is for all the
this
Bell Atlantic we signed up for, James. Read the fucking script.
They did
Yep.
a recently. There's a whole thing that was posted about like Rachel Brosnan talking about people who poo-poo their time as playing comic book
Right.
characters and stuff like that. This also has
Okay.
to tell me, and maybe there's a lot of this in the 80s too, but I feel like the 90s has to be the king of a decade where A-list actors are signing up for projects they have no idea what's going on in the film.
Oh
You
yeah.
get me? Like just the concepts. Think about the Matrix, right? Will Smith just didn't do the Matrix because he didn't understand it. He was like, "What? You want me to do what?"
And
And so this
sometimes
just,
that's all it should take.
yeah, this just feels to me like they grab IP and they grab an actor. He has no idea what's going on with it, and they're just kind of like going through it. Like, yeah, of course James Earl Jones did this because it was a payday. Of course, no one did this out of passion for Judge Dredd, is what I'm trying to say. They did it. So during the operation, oh no, sorry. He goes through and he's basically ends up taking everybody down. I do like the lawbreaker,
Lawmaker.
The
Lawbringer?
the lawgiver. I thought it was lawgiver.
lawgiver,
Lawgiver
law.
2. Lawgiver 2.
Yeah.
Is it lawgiver? But anyway,
But what I like is that
yes,
they
it is
blatantly
lawgiver.
call it they call it the lawgiver 2 because this gun doesn't exist in the comics apparently.
Oh, okay.
So they made this up to make it cooler, more futuristic. So they called it lawgiver 2. So they must have
Yeah.
been like somewhere along the way.
It seems one of the things from the comics that did carry over is this idea of DNA authentication with
Yes.
these guns, which I think is really cool. And it's something like I think later on comics, other things in comics would go on and replicate. I think Bucky Barnes has one of those things where like his weapons are only DNA to
Tied to
him.
him?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I feel like
Makes
I saw that
sense.
in an
Makes
action
sense.
movie recently or something like that.
You have. I'm trying. I can't remember it, but there definitely is a movie I'm thinking of where all the guns are ID tagged.
Yeah, yeah. But I like that it's voice activated. So you just say like grenade and you shoot
Right.
grenades. You say machine gun. You,
Grenade.
I don't know what double whammy means. Like I don't know what that nomenclature means in the grand scheme of things, but he does do it. He does do a double whammy.
A double
Uh,
whammy occurs.
yes, a double whammy occurs. I,
Whammy.
at one point, Rob Schneider's like, "Hey, I should just go down there and surrender," and I'm like, "Yeah, I guess if you want to." Like, I don't know why they
That's
stop him. I was like,
certainly an idea.
yeah, I was like, let his ass go. What is this? What does it hurt you if his ass goes down there? But a homeboy just like tries to take a regular pistol to Dredd, and it's a very I allow this. This is one of those, the meme of Chang from Community where he's like, I'll allow
I'll
it.
allow it.
I allow the whole like, and you know what you get for homicide or murder. And he goes, what? I get life, and death. And I'm like, all right, bro, you get that. Yeah, I was like, all right, you get that. And again, when you're believing that this person is just like the cool of all cool, like I think the rule of cool kind of stuff to me takes place
Yeah.
here at the beginning of this. Like I'm letting a lot of this slide because it just kind of generally looks cool. What do you think about this opening sequence, Cog?
I honestly, this and going into the next few scenes made me go, okay, they were trying to make a movie. Up until when they introduced the head judge played by Max van Sydow,
Hmm.
he's a very serious actor. Even this, the way they established that, okay, he gave them a chance to surrender. He goes in there, takes care of business, does the whole futuristic Miranda rights, so to speak. So it seems
Mm,
like there's going to be some kind of movie here.
yeah,
I was really,
yeah,
really enjoying it.
Some
And
guy.
then the movie just they just say, yeah, the train tracks,
yeah,
fuck it,
yeah.
go
Let's
off
hear
the
this.
rails.
So, what about you, GT? You think this was an effective introduction? There's a Batman-esque shot where he gets in the bike and he like drives past the fire to get onto the crime scene or whatever. That I was like, oh, this feels like Batman. What do you think about this introduction? Do you think this worked here?
I thought it did. If you definitely just put them over as like this badass did literally take no prisoners, like super cop.
Yeah, I like that his measure of
I thought
badassery is how bad the other cadet is at this job, apparently, because he doesn't live very long. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, that guy, okay, Dredd got to be a badass because that guy died in like a half an hour. But continue.
Uh,
Like no, that guy sucked.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. He passed. I mean, he passed. What is it? The academy? Right? He got it. He got in his helmet. He got his judge badge, or whatever the heck. It just didn't. Yeah, just didn't work out. But you're saying, GT?
um, like I I thought it was sort of interesting. Like they do the traffic stop scene. It's like all
Mm.
these guys are sort of getting arrested and put away, and one guy gets killed, and he's just like, "I'm destroying your car.
Basically,
Have
that's
a
what I'm
good
saying.
day."
It does kind of come off as parody, but then I don't know if I necessarily want to root for that person. It's a combination of both those things. I can sit and laugh at it, but it's like almost like BoJack or Rick and Morty, where I'm like, I don't know if I'm
Yeah,
rooting
I
for
think
this
there's
guy. He's
definitely
not
a
very happy.
and maybe that's a conversation in and of itself. I think there's definitely the kind of person who would, because like, I think there's the idea that the hyper aggressive lawman is, you know, just just the elixir for the poison you need.
Are either one of you guys super steeped in RoboCop?
Not so much. I used to watch the cartoon series.
I
Okay.
mean, the first
Yeah.
three movies, I'm
Yeah.
pretty well versed in. Why? What's up?
So I heard one of the rumors was that RoboCop 1 stole so much from this film, or so much from the IP of Judge Dredd,
Oh
that it
yeah,
slowed down the production of this movie being made. Do you
I can
see
see
any of
that.
that? Do you
I
see
could
any?
see
Yeah.
that.
I can see
Yeah.
that. I mean, the first
I
movie. I
can't
mean,
remember. I've seen RoboCop 1, but like once I put all those issues in my head, like now I know that Spider-Man was made in 1962, so that removed the RoboCop
because
knowledge from
it's
my head.
RoboCop essentially is the Justice Department saying we need the most extreme cop because we're dealing with the most extreme bad guys.
Yeah.
And in doing so, you just have it's almost like a parody. But
Yeah.
RoboCop did a good job of humanizing this robot person who was tragically turned into this super cop. You know what I mean? Like whereas they try to do that in this movie
Hmm.
and they're not successful at all because it draws so much from the source material to the point where depending on how you read it, you might think, no, this is a super heroic tale of a super cop, setting order to this crazy world,
Hmm.
Hmm.
when the writers they don't mean it that way at all. This is making fun of the way law enforcement could eventually become, or even has become, depending on who you talk to.
Is this so?
RoboCop.
This is just what a latent. Is this just like a latent result of like cowboy sheriff fantasy, like coming into a town with your guns and just like
Well,
get
yeah, I
settling
mean,
settling
when
all business. Like this town's too rowdy until Sheriff so and so came in and
the
he was the law.
the
Yes. And
movie
then he
talks
slept with the
about the
hottest
idea
woman in
that,
town.
Yeah.
yeah, the movie establishes that there's this cursed earth and something horrible happened and chaos was occurring.
Yeah.
So some level of law bringer needed to be established. So that
Hmm.
happened, but then as what happens when people become powerful, does that power corrupt you? And I was very intrigued with that from the beginning, when now you have this council of judges who are the absolute control of the city, and they dispatch their judges out to dispatch justice right
Yeah.
on the spot, and you're like, well, how fair is that? And they play with that, right? Even with when
Yeah.
Rob Schneider's character gets rearrested, oh, 5 years
Hmm.
is that's kind of extreme. And I tried to look at it from both perspectives, because most people would just look at it and go, well, Rob Schneider just got out of prison, he's trying to keep his ass alive, but they don't know that. They
No,
only
that's what
know
I
that
actually was like. He deserves to get arrested, but maybe
right,
I was just
because
kind of hating on Rob at the moment.
it's that, but it's also like, well, they don't know if he wasn't a part of it and now trying to escape. Had
Yeah.
maybe from the jump he'd been like, yo, thank you guys for saving me. I just got out of prison. I didn't know what to do. These dudes said they were gonna kill me. Instead, he
Yeah.
like hacks a robot, and then tries to front like he's not hacking a robot until a gun is in his face. It's like, all
Literally.
right,
Yeah.
man, you're kind of putting yourself in this situation that you didn't necessarily put yourself in.
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah.
as people, George, I know where you're from. Greg, I don't know where you're at, but you
I'm from
know,
where George used to be.
Yeah.
oh, so we know what we're talking about when it comes to these situations. Sometimes we can't help it.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. But also, obviously, as would be a theme of this film, no one who's seen breaking the law is like even remotely innocent. It's like even like kind of innocent. The most innocent, and I won't even say innocent, I guess the most empathetic you feel is for Rob Schneider, but you're told that he has broken this law several other times. He's
Yeah,
a
no, I
Yeah.
know.
notorious hacker, and he's done this a lot of times, and he's got into jail. So it's like you got into jail for stealing, and you've been to jail for like whatever amount of years for stealing multiple times, and then I don't know, you need a band-aid, so you steal one, and then you get arrested. You are going to jail again because you did the thing that they didn't want you to do, and you did it again. Again, he had, maybe valid reason or not, in this world where everything is so absolute, where they're not really trying to, like later on when you talk about the traffic stop or the guy in the parked car, he's literally just ramming the car in front of him and ramming the car behind him. There's no like, there's
With a
no,
suspended license. With a
yeah,
suspended license.
yes, there's no narrative of like this is just a misunderstanding, or maybe the citizens of Mega City One are not all jackholes that need the boot of the authority on them. But no, this movie's like, no, they are all that. They are
Right.
all kind of schemy, dirty, inhabitants here. But one of the things that you were talking about, Cock, that I think is interesting is it does seem like there is a distance placed between the judges and the lawmakers, and maybe this is a bit, what is it called? Art imitating
Yeah.
life, on the nose, bit
Bit
on the
on the
nose.
nose.
But there is a
Hmm.
disconnect between them and the people. Like there's a complete, like
Okay.
they make the rules and the law and all that kind of stuff almost without any regard for how people
Mhm.
are living down there below them, or in some of the worst environments. It's there. It's not like they talk about the lack of resources, but it's not like we have little resources, we should get more resources. It's like we have little resources, we should arrest more people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there's like a complete disconnect to the will of the people here, which is why I found rooting for him a little bit weird, because it's like I don't feel this way in regular life. I would never be like, yeah, that guy blew up that guy's car because he had a suspended license and he was driving DUI in a parking spot or whatever the fuck, whatever he was accused of in that moment. But yeah,
Mhm.
we get to the part like we were just talking about. During the Operation Dredd arrest Herman Fergie Ferguson, again played by Rob Schneider, a recently paroled hacker caught hiding inside of a food dispensing robot. Without hesitation, Dredd sentences him to 5 more years for tampering with city property. Hershey, disturbed by Dredd's rigid approach, questions his lack of compassion and humanity, but he is just steadfast. It's all black and white to him. I want to say, I said a little bit off air, when I first saw Rob Schneider in the very beginning of this film, he's the first notable face in this film. I kind of was triggered because I don't think recently he's done a good job in his comedy roles. I think that I have found him funny, but I find him funny in an ensemble. I find him funny with people around him. I don't think him by
Okay.
himself is knockdown drag out. So when I saw him in this, I was like, what is this going to be? And I think he's extremely tame. And what I mean by tame is, I think regardless of who was in this role, they would have had the same exact jokes. I think you can. I think in a world where he breaks his leg when he fell down the stairs on the first day of shooting, because he did fall down the stairs on the first day of shooting, he just didn't break his leg. They would have slotted John Leguizamo in this role, and he would have done the same thing. You
Mm.
understand? Like I see a world in which they do that. This
Parallel
is very much
universe.
of that era. Yeah, this is very much of that era of just like get comedian alongside him, and it'll be what it is.
I
The
had to
fun,
remind myself that young Leguizamo was a lot wimpier than he was
yes, yeah,
later on.
yeah. This is Luigi's time. This is right around. This is right around Super Mario Brothers. Um, so yeah, they wanted Joe Pesci as Fergie. I don't know if that would have
That's
worked.
aiming real high, guys.
The only reason why I would think that they would want him is post Home Alone,
Sure.
No,
right?
and that's what I was thinking. I was like, oh man, you were great with the kids, so you'll be great with Stallone. Like, what?
No, no. No, I just feel like that would have done too much of a disservice to Pesci. I like that it's wimpy. I don't think Joe Pesci's a wimp.
Right.
And
No,
and I
not
don't
at
think he
all.
would have played Wimpy all that well, even though he's kind
Yeah,
of a douchebag in Home Alone. But I don't
yeah.
think he's a
Yeah,
wimp. He'll kill kids.
I'm gonna go hack this freaking robot. All right.
Yeah. Hey. Oh. Hey. Get off of me, Judge. I'm just doing what I
You know
can here. You think
what are
I'm
you
a
talking
clown?
about? 5 years.
Calling me
5
funny?
years.
Hey, oh wait. Another little thing I want to say about Rob Snyder before we move on is there is a scene in this in which they get back into Mega City 1 by like going through this vent in between bursts of flames that are
Mm-hmm.
going on. Apparently, those were real flames in the film when they shot that,
Oh
and
my.
they went to great lengths to cover the back of Stallone's costume in flame retardant material, something that they did not do for Rob Snyder's
I was about to say,
character.
man, the budget is only for one person. Rob, run fast.
I just like I laugh at the thought of him like walking past hair and makeup, and they're just slathering this stuff on Stallone, and he's like, "Oh, no, what's that?" And they're like, "Don't worry about it. Just keep
That's
going.
not you.
He'll be over there in a minute. Just keep
In the
going.
immortal words of Dusty Rhodes, that's not for you, brother. That's for
That's not for
somebody
you.
else.
Don't do things you don't know how to do." Oh, that's
Oh
so funny. We could have
man.
killed Rob Snyder on Judge Dredd.
It just reminds me of the fact that that sort of action makes me think of the Michael John White story. Just like they were setting me up to beat up Steven Seagal.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Like they're just doing awful things on set.
That's when I heard they were beating up Tobey Maguire on Spider-Man, hit him with that backpack when he was
Oh
he
no.
was, he was sitting down and knocked him with that backpack. So yeah, there's like this is like the like pull out the violin moment of like the whole like he goes and he does that speech in front of the cadets of like
Yeah.
this is this one man, it's just it's a lonely job, and this is all you'll ever do, and all this other kind of stuff. And I love that Diane Lane like calls him out on it. She's like, you don't have to do that. You don't have to basically like you don't have to be an asshole at the job. Like I have a social life and I do other things. I don't know why you just told all those cadets that this is like a miserable. He's like, you don't get it. I had a
Yeah.
brother, or I had the only person I ever loved. I had to judge or something like that.
I judged him.
I judged him.
Judged
I,
him.
you don't get it. I judged
Well,
him.
no. Well, see, what makes that speech even worse is the implication that, and once you're done with the job, you'll be shunned from society
You
forever.
have to walk
To
the earth.
now bring law to the.
Yeah, you have to go walk the earth.
So, technically, you're
Like
still doing the job, but we'll never talk about you ever again.
who would
But
ever do that voluntarily?
but that's the thing. Apparently, in the lore of the comics, it's a volunteer thing. You don't have to do that. So, and then there's apparently a cool short on YouTube about a judge, just a regular judge who retires, and he opts to go out into the cursed earth because he just loves it. He's like, I'm gonna retire and I'm gonna still keep doing this job on the cursed earth. So
But
out.
I'm not really gonna retire. I'm just
Right.
leave it
Yeah,
on you.
I'm just gonna go beat up more poor people than usual.
That's right.
Poor,
That's right.
poorer people than usual. But like this whole thing of this whole like uber depressing super. He just seems more about this life than even she is, even though she's been shown to be a little bit smarter. I
Mhm.
guess there's a lot of talk about her being at the top of her class. Um, again, because I'm a red-blooded American male. I just liked seeing her on screen. I just kind of liked seeing
Diane Lane
Lane
makes the
talk.
rest. Diane Lane makes every scene in this movie just a little easier.
Just a little easier. One of my favorite things.
Something about like the full body shots was those were
Yeah,
definitely great.
yeah. It's just artistically done,
About that.
and also they also this movie also has like the prime example of like cosmetic injuries. Right, I feel like Rocky or everyone always gets the cut
Always
on the eyebrow,
or
on
a
the
little lip cut.
yeah, and the girls always get a dash on the forehead.
And the hair never looks just distraught. It still looks
No,
sexy. It's
yeah.
it's like my hair's a mess.
I love that they have that to the T in this. It's like there's no other cuts but the cut here, and that's it. That's no that ever happens.
Meanwhile, in real life, like half their faces would have been blown off.
Yeah.
Completely. Completely. My God,
There's
you're
the
saying
shot
you
at
see?
the end that I love so much, which is like she just got into a whole fist fight with this woman, and then when she pops up right at the end with just the gun and the slightly disheveled hair. I'm just like, damn.
Yeah, I'd watch that movie 10 out of 10. Let's go. Also, when they
What was
introduced
this
that
movie
lady,
about?
yeah, when I introduced that lady, I'm like, why are they introducing characters at this point? At this point
Not
in the
just
movie?
that, but how quickly she goes from seeming to be a reasonable woman who's like scared of the bad
Yeah,
guy, and within
yeah,
like 20 seconds to being like, yo, the
my
Riz on this
lover.
psychopath is out of control. I
This
can't
is my
help
Oh,
it.
lover.
Joan Chen, yeah.
Yeah. And it wasn't until she starts fighting with Diane Lane that I'm like, oh, she's in the movie to fight with Diane Lane. they've, they've given the woman a woman to fight, like they did in The Mummy 2, when they
Yes.
when they brought in the other woman so that Rachel Weisz could beat somebody up. Um,
Oh my God. Yeah, it is. It is 0 to 100. The way Joan Chen is like, "What are you doing?" And then she's just like, "I'm gonna have his babies."
and all of his kids. And I think I saw in like the IMDb trivia that it was like that was her headcanon. It was like that. This happened before with they're doing this with Engineer and Lex. The actors who's playing the engineer in the new Superman movie is like, I know it's not in the script, but it's in my headcanon that we fucked. Basically, so that's how I'm playing the character, and I'm like, I love headcanon affairs. That's
Oh,
hilarious to me.
actors headcanon is some of the best things you'll ever
I
hear. It's just like
but I feel
it's
like
not
that
in the
happens a
script.
lot because that reminds me of the first Kingsman movie,
Yeah.
Okay.
the razor blade legs lady.
Ah, yes,
How
yes, 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 yes.
like that the way she's
Sophia
Samuel,
Botella.
yeah, with the way she's all over Samuel L. Jackson. I'm just like, she must think there's a
And
sexual
a different,
chemistry between these
and
characters.
these people are in another movie. They're completely in another movie. So Dredd reveals that to Hershey that his uncompromising adherence to the law once forced him to sentence his own best friend and fellow judge Rico for committing mass murder. Thought to
Hmm.
be executed, Rico Armand Asante is in fact alive, secretly imprisoned at the Aspen Penal Colony. There, he receives a covert message and orchestrates a violent escape. Returning to Mega City 1, Rico claims his judge uniform, his personalized lawgiver sidearm, and activates a decommissioned ABC Warrior, a deadly combat robot, as his enforcer. Now, uh, I dig the ABC Warrior. That was kind of cool. It looked like practical, looked mostly practical, which
Yeah.
God, could you imagine the god awful CGI that would have been of this era to do this robot? Mortal
I
Kombat
can.
style, you get what I'm talking
I
about? Like
can.
Mortal Kombat style.
Especially the bad walking animation.
Oh my gosh. I think that really worked.
Yeah.
As someone who knows nothing of this franchise, I was like, oh, they gotta like kill a robot in this. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um, I am confused as to how Rico got out. So he gets a box that he uses his thumbprint to open up, and it's a badge. Who gave him the badge?
Well, that's the thing. Right here, this is one of the situations where I'm like, okay, the warden is coming to deliver
Yes.
A
contraband.
package.
Contraband
A cake with
Contraband,
a
to one
yeah.
of the
file in
most
it.
deadly, obviously one of the most deadly people at this prison. And he's
Yes.
just like, yeah, deactivate stuff. And here, man, we didn't
Yeah.
obviously inspect this thing, but what
Yeah.
is it?
Yeah. Not only
It's the
is
way I'm
it
going to
your
kill you.
badge, it's a gun. And I
Right?
have no means to stop you from shooting me in the face. And not only that, I don't know how these turret guns work, apparently, because I moved a little bit and they gunned me the hell down. I do like the little conceit that they are voice activated and he shot him like in the throat or whatever.
Yes.
Right. Right.
You know,
Which
and
he
so
was
he like,
already dead. Like he's already dead.
yes. Yes.
But
But I
then
did
to
think that
add
was clever.
because
Yeah.
that's how you can tell this movie was meant to be super rated R. But
Yes.
in post production, they start to scale it down because they're like, yo, we got to sell toys, and this is Sylvester Stallone,
That is
so we
another
can't.
big thing. Yep. They had to initially in the first drafts, they had to do more censorship to get it to R. It was like almost over R. There's scenes in this where Rico shoots like the couple, you know how he shoots the news anchor or whatever, and his wife's
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah,
In
it's
the
slow motion.
yeah, in the original scene, it's like way more bloody and way more slow motion and stuff like that. So as they are kind of gearing it down to be an R, Sylvester Stallone is constantly saying it actually needs to be PG-13.
I actually need to make more money.
Yes, this needs to be PG-13, and he keeps pushing it even lower as far as the rating is concerned, and also simultaneously trying to input more jokes throughout. So those are two completely different movies, and I have to look it up, but I also think I read a rumor somewhere that Danny Cannon, the director of this, wasn't allowed around for the reshoots or the
Oh wow.
post-production reshoots, which is very, was it American History X, where
Mm.
Ed
Norton.
Norton locked the director out of the
Mhm.
the trailer, the cutting trailer for that film, and he cut the film himself the way
It's
he
almost like
wanted it to.
it's almost like he's not a great guy.
I mean, I'll just say you wouldn't want to see him when he's angry, but
Ah,
we'll,
ah.
we'll move over. Disguised as Dredd, Rico murders journalist Vartis Hammond, a vocal critic of the judge's brutality, because the lawgiver encodes DNA into every fired round, and the bullets at the scene match Dredd's genetic signature. He's arrested for the murder. We need to talk about this kangaroo court. This is the worst court. This is the worst court ever. You can just yell at anything. You can just do whatever the hell you want. Diane Lane is his defendant or defending attorney.
Wait till I show you the Klingon courts.
Oh my God, out of control. Maybe maybe I'm unfairly tying it to our court system. I need to live in the times that they take place. But this whole because it is shoddy. For 1,000 years in the future, that's all you have for evidence is like a kind of grainy video of somebody
Right.
that has the Judge Dredd badge shooting somebody. I would need a little bit more than that. Now the gun is a bit more of damning evidence. Why they wouldn't present that first, I don't know. I feel like that is the bigger piece, to hide that piece and then just be like, ta-da. This is
they
our
wanted to make it
backup
dramatic.
evidence.
They wanted to make
that's
it dramatic. They were just like, yo, we know she's gonna flip this on us.
Yeah.
Let's save the DNA.
Let's let her do her whole lawyer
We got
speech.
time to waste. We got time to waste.
Yeah, let's let her do her whole lawyer. Yeah, this is the only thing we're going to be doing today. So let's let her
Also,
do her
like
whole
if you
lawyer
look at
thing.
that prosecutor, she's like, "I did my hair for this. We're gonna milk it."
Yeah,
That's right.
and she is incredibly calm when they say that they can't use the footage because it's not clear enough or whatever. Because she has the gun thing, so she was like, "Okay, whatever, bro.
It
Whatever,
reminded
bro."
me of like watching Yu-Gi-Oh. You fell for my trap card.
Basically, she had that shit ready.
Yep.
I do like the PowerPoint presentation of the gun and how the gun's bullets put the DNA. Like, in case none of us all
They had
know
more
from this.
special effects in that than they did in like the digital recording of this 1,000 year in the future. Here's
Yeah.
the VCR recording tape from
Yeah.
the security footage.
Yeah, but here's this in-depth, high-tech PowerPoint presentation of how a gun works. Also, this is also one of those, what is it, like how they do exposition, like or as you know, kind of
Yes.
situations, because this is a judge court ruling on a judge case
For judges.
full of judges, and they're like, well, here the piece of evidence we have is damning because the DNA on every bullet. That'd be the same thing as if if a lawyer was like, and as you know, there is blood in each one of our bodies. And the blood, if you take it to a lab, will show you the DNA. And when I went to that crime scene, that blood matched so-and-so. It's like, yeah, we know the rules, but we all have guns. We all have the DNA thing. Why are you explaining this to all of us? But again, it's for us in universe.
It's also one of my favorite things where it's just like obviously we need to have all these the main characters involved in everything. So it's like when you're watching Star Trek and freaking Captain Picard gets set as somebody's legal representative. It's like, we have a legal department.
Yeah,
in
that's way
Starfleet
better at this.
full of
Yeah,
people
Right.
who train for
right.
this.
But will they do it?
I took PTO. I took PTO to show up at this court case.
Yes. And then like what a burden to put on Hershey. Like, we've been working for a little bit. I need you to be my lawyer in my death trial. By the way,
this goes back to her own trauma, right? Because back when she's first talking to Dredd,
yeah,
she's trying to get him to be like a person or whatnot. All I can hear in my head was that classic, "I can fix him."
yeah, yeah.
I can fix him.
Yeah.
If I can hug him, I can turn him into a person. And Dredd is just like, I'm not a person. I'm the law.
Don't you see? I'm the law. And again, like he doesn't get held in contempt, but he yells that in the courtroom because that'll get him on your side. As he said, as Rob Schneider tells him later on when he is talking shit to the wastelanders. But although Hershey defends him passionately, Dredd is found guilty. Fargo resigns in protest and invokes his right to the Long Walk, a secret tradition in which a retired judge brings law to the lawless in the cursed earth. As his final request, he asks that Dredd be spared execution. The council grants the request, and Dredd is sentenced to life imprisonment. I don't think this is a good law. It's like, we have. I mean, what is it? A presidential pardon? Like, this is what that is, right? Like, by the
yes,
way,
that's essentially what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that person. I know we just said he was guilty. I know we all just agreed and looked at the evidence, and we just said he was guilty. But I'm gonna go, and I have a favor to ask: can he not be that guilty? And everyone's like, "Yeah, I guess." And I'm like, "What the fuck?" So you can just do this all willy-nilly. The law. I mean, I guess that's what we're learning now, aren't we? The law is arbitrary. These sentences are arbitrary. They come and go. Oh no, I think we're getting shut off. I think they're gonna. I think the CIA is messing with my internet. 5 years.
I love you guys.
I knew you'd say that.
There's a funny scene in a comic panel of Judge Dredd that I saw where it's like one of those images where there's no words. There's just like a couple of very similar shots, and then it has words at the end. And it's like a woman, might even be Hershey, like standing next to him, getting closer to him, kissing him. And then the final panel is like unauthorized touching of a judge,
Yes.
5 years.
Yeah. Yep. I've seen that one. And that to me is how the movie should have ended.
Open and shut case. And then the movie ends and they play a thing of a song from The Cure at the end of this. And I'm just like, this is 1990s movie. Yeah, they just got a big band to play a song about a movie that no one knew about, based on a book that no one read. When I mean no one a part of this production.
Right.
Just like, who could do a killer song about Gotham City? R. Kelly. That's who we need to do a song about Gotham's. It's just a very strange time.
Yeah, let's get Busta Rhymes and P. Diddy to remix a Led Zeppelin song for Godzilla.
For Godzilla. Right? Yeah, that's 1-1.
I actually like that. I like that track.
It made no sense for the movie.
No, it doesn't.
Doesn't Godzilla like visit him in his home in that movie? Like visit him in like, yeah, that'll happen. On the transport shuttle to Aspen, Dredd finds himself seated next to the very man he recently sentenced, Fergie. This was like when he went to jail. I was like, oh, so he's gonna meet, because that wasn't the end of Rob Schneider, obviously. So again, having never seen this film, I'm like, okay, so he has to meet Rob Schneider and then realize that, like, maybe the law is not all that it's cracked up to be, and then come back. So we kind of get that here. Fergie basically like reads him the right act about like, you're so all down on the law. Where did it get you? Kind of shit. Like, it got you here locked up with me. Yeah. So how good is the law? Kind of stuff. Which is, he's not wrong.
Dredd is like the law doesn't make mistakes, and he's like, oh really?
Yeah. Is that meme of the person like arguing with somebody and the person just says something angrily and then says something like honestly, and the next panel is just the other person angry, like they have nothing to say but they're just mad. Right. That's basically what happened here. Yeah. He's like, yeah, I love the law. Yeah, the law got you here. And he's just like, yeah, maybe you're right.
And then the whole time the dude is in the back going, did he say he's a judge?
I dig that. That's true, right? That's like, prisoners would do that. There's a huge trope about like what happens when you lock up a police officer in the same jail full of inhabitants of people who he locked up. Like, that's very interesting stuff. Why they needed both that moment and the blowing up of the ship, I'm very confused about. Because they ultimately don't say anything about the assassination attempt. Doesn't go anywhere, right? of like, you know,
Yeah, because
you
it wasn't an assassination. It was just somebody. It wasn't like that other dude was planted there to kill him. That
no,
other dude just
no,
overheard. Just I think one thing I liked about it though is the idea that you like Dredd is not being saved like by someone who, oh man, I gotta save this person. He's being
yeah,
saved because of coincidence. Like
happenstance, yeah, 100%.
that's it. You know what I mean? Like this, he does not deserve to be saved. He's gonna figure out a way to save himself because
Yeah.
realistically, no one should save this guy.
Yeah, there's a world where this movie ends because the plane blows up, and it's just like, and that was the end. Judge Dredd met his end in
That's it.
transport to jail. Open and
That's
check.
it.
Everyone
And
learned their
and
lesson.
Rico became the almighty mayor of Mega City One.
Yes,
King Dredd.
King Dredd. That sounds like a great reggae artist.
King
But
Dredd? Yes.
King Dredd.
I think Rico's supposed to be a character called Judge Death.
We know they wanted to use Judge Death in this, but I don't think. Oh, they said it was too expensive for the outfit.
Ah.
And
I guess
if you,
Versace didn't want to design that outfit too.
yeah,
No.
He goes,
and
Versace made these. Versace made these.
that is interesting. That must have been why the gold was so on point. um,
Considering what
I
Versace has made, that just raises more alarm.
and while I love the two guys who got me through my Batman run in the New 52 of Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo, one might just assume that the Batman Who Laughs is heavily based on Judge Death.
Oh
The side of
yeah!
Mm.
that almost completely
Wow!
freaking ripped off
Oof.
of Judge Death. Who, and maybe that wouldn't have been a thing if more people knew what Judge Death looked like because they saw him in this film. But because that
Right.
never happened, Batman Who Laughs he's in Fortnite. So we saw who won that. We saw who won that war. But yeah, um,
Wow!
yes. So the shuttle is soon shot down. You know, they don't get to that guy doesn't get to kill him. It's shot down over the cursed earth by the Angel Gang, a family of deranged cannibalistic mutants. I found out these guys are in the comics.
Mhm.
Uh, Dredd and Fergie are taken captive, but they are soon found by a search team of judges, followed by Fargo himself. Um, the main guy is Herschel from The Walking Dead,
Yes, he
which
is.
Okay.
I did not place initially. Jessica did. She's
No,
a huge Walking Dead fan.
as soon as I saw him, and then I thought how funny it is. Here he's a religious cult leader, but meanwhile
Hmm.
in The Walking Dead, he's like the religious moral person. So I'm like, oh, he could play either side.
Both in like a
Is that the
dystopian
is
kind of
that the guy
world.
from the farmhouse?
Yeah,
Yep.
Maggie's
Yeah,
father.
Maggie's father.
Ah, it's the only season I've seen.
You go
Yep.
outside, you
And
risk your life.
by the way, R.I.P. The man passed away in like 2020.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
he did pass away. I thought like I didn't think it was him. Just said it was, and then I'm like, no, the actor's name is Scott Glenn, so I'm not seeing Scott Glenn in the
No,
credits. I'm
no,
not seeing Scott Glenn. That's the whole problem. I'm like, I'm not seeing Scott Glenn in the credits.
no. Scott Wilson. Scott
No,
Wilson.
that's the point. I'm saying I told her it was Scott Glenn, and I'm not seeing Scott
Oh,
Glenn in the credits. So I'm like, I guess it wasn't him. And then I'm like, right? Because I look up Scott Glenn and up pops Stick from Daredevil, and I'm like, oh yes, Scott
That's not
Wilson.
right.
So
no, you
sorry,
were
Scott
right.
Wilson. Yeah,
Scott Glenn was
Scott
not in
Glenn
the
wasn't in
movie.
it. Scott Glenn wasn't in the movie. Jessica, are you paying attention? So, but yeah, Scott Wilson, in this. This is just Hills Have Eyes. Just a bunch of hillbilly modified, toxic modified wasteland
But
scavenger pirate people.
I do like the cyborg guy because that was impressive. Because that's
Mm.
we keep talking about it. The practical effects, the makeup, the set design,
Costuming, yeah.
is all practical, and
Hmm.
that stands up. I'm watching this movie and I'm looking at it like, man, I wish 80% of the movies made nowadays still did this because it
Yeah.
still looks good. It still looks good. That cyborg. The whole time I'm watching him, I'm going, how are they getting rid of his arm? Like, what is the? Is his arm like tucked up like this? Is he
Yeah.
covered? Is it CGI? It's so good. The makeup, even when they close in on him, I'm like, it's
Yeah.
almost seamless. And this is 1995.
30 years ago. we get all the kinds of complaints about CGI nowadays here, and while they obviously use computer generated stuff in this film, it's like mostly in the background. It's mostly background stuff. These guys are not shooting lasers; they're shooting bullets. Like they're still shooting bullets,
Yeah.
even 1,000 years in the future. Their bikes are practical, badass looking bikes. I dug those too. The bikes are
Even the
practical. The
one that
outfits
didn't
are
work.
practical. Yeah, even the one that didn't work. I saw that scene, and then later on, I saw in the IMDb that all of the bikes were like literally built. Like they had to like physically build
Yeah.
these
You can
bikes.
tell that. You can see it on the screen.
So I wondered if that line was like a joke on like how hard it is to build these bastards. Like this one doesn't even work. We just have this one here for this scene because it doesn't work. But yeah,
I
I
thought it
found
was
that to be funny
interesting
too.
because I'm seeing this scene now where Hershey is going through his locker to find some sort of evidence or anything she can use to help him.
Yeah.
And the few things they have in there to sort of like, I guess, give an idea of who Dredd is.
Like
And
all
he
the
has
things he
two
cherishes.
large novels that are the rise and fall of the Roman Empire.
Okay, there you go. Nothing quite informs you like that. Yeah,
And another book that just says Emerson, and I can't figure out what that is.
I wonder if it's yeah, but
Waldo Emerson?
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But also it's the Emerson book, it's the two books in the Roman Empire and then the law book, right? He's still got the law book
Yes.
in there. Because he's like this is
And a
the only,
picture of himself.
I felt very dumb because when he first brought it up in the training thing, he's like, all you'll ever need is this or whatever when you're out there alone or whatever. I'm like, is that the Bible?
Well,
That's what I would have first thought. I don't blame you.
I think it's purposely made to look like the Bible, right? Because
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
I think
gold
it's
edges of the paper. I was like,
right.
it's
oh,
the
is that the
Bible to
Bible?
him.
It's Bible to them, 100%. This is his religion. Um, yeah, and then like Fargo shows up, and I thought that was kind of funny and kind of silly and kind of what's it called? Coincidental that
Yes.
they like all arrived just in time and all this kind of stuff, and he just arrived just in time. So I did enjoy that he got stabbed. I did really dig that
You
Fargo got stabbed because I thought the rest of it was too cutesy. I thought it all just lined up
Yeah.
way too
gotta
well.
break up the
So
convenience of it all.
Well,
yeah,
I mean, this was already established early in the movie to be a theme because early
yeah,
when they were raiding the building, Hershey saves Dredd, right?
yes.
There's a scene
Hmm.
and now this happens where one saves the other, and now he saves him, and then the Mean Machine is about to gut Fargo, and then he beats them, and then it happens a lot later on, and I'm sitting there going, how boring and lazy is this writing that this trope happens like 4 times in the movie, and then they make a joke about it. They make a joke about it.
Yeah. They just put copied and paste, and then Blank came in and saved him. That's what was
That's
through
it.
this. A quick talk
I love
about that.
that.
Go ahead, brother.
I love that Mean Machine knows what baseball is.
Oh yeah, 3 strikes, you're out. 1,000 years into the future, he knows what baseball is. I just like the egg timer thing on his head. I like the fact that he
Yeah.
has 4 settings. You got to put him through a rinse cycle or something like that. I like that whole idea there. Um, so many bullets, no one gets hit by a single one. I think some of the Angel guys get got that way, but for the most part, I know they get got when Dredd picks up the gun and he kills them.
Yes.
So
And
the law of action,
the size of these rifles is
My
just
God.
comical. It's just
huge,
comical.
so big, and I like I said, I really, really, really liked Me Machine Angel. Angel, I liked his look in this, and he dies because apparently, he dies because their little bunker is siphoning electricity from Mega City One. So well, this is not why he dies, but he uses that electricity to kill him, and
Yeah.
sentences him to death for stealing electricity from the.
Because he knew he would say that.
He did know he would say that. He did know he would say that.
It's a
Stallone
really
heard Stallone heard someone else grunt. It was like, I know that. You grunted?
Yeah.
it's a
I knew you said
really
that."
like disturbing scene too, because like there's a moment where you can see Dredd just takes a minute to like enjoy it when he
Yeah.
starts rubbing the wire across the metal arm.
Yeah. Just to show that there's electricity running through it, like a little torture before he kills the guy. I didn't get the Fargo. I feel like Fargo and Dredd were supposed to have like a father-son kind of thing dynamic.
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't get
There's
that
some
enough.
sort of
I
like
just thought he was like
mentor
a
thing because like
yeah.
they were teacher student.
I got an admiration of your boss vibes, but I think they wanted father-son vibes, right? Because he's like
Well, I mean,
their
he
father,
says it.
kind of.
It's one of the few things he gets to say to him as he's dying. You know.
Yeah, he's like, wait, I got 12 things you need to know before before.
I got a list. I got a list.
Hold on.
When he stabbed me, I was writing a list. So just give me a second.
Wait, did I tell you Rico was your brother?
I need one of these
Your
movies to be
clones?
like, I'm dying. Hold on, there's things I need to tell you. Damn it, this app isn't working.
Yeah, that's right. There's something I need to tell you. Oh my, it rubbed off my hand. Son of a bitch. I, re- I wrote down everything. It's all gone.
I didn't know it was gonna be so hot today.
But But here is basically the exposition. With his dying breath, Fargo reveals a shocking truth. Dredd and
All
Rico
seven of them.
are not brothers by chance. They are clones, products of the secret Janus Project, a genetic experiment to create the perfect judge using DNA from the council. Rico's violent nature led to the project's shutdown and the cover up of its existence. Fargo warns that Griffin has revived the Janus Project and used Rico to manipulate events, framing Dredd and forcing Fargo's retirement. And this is when he's like, "Oh, you made me judge my brother," or something like that. I'm like,
Yeah.
"You're all about this. Why are you not about this now? Because you found out who it was? That sounds awfully convenient, Officer Dredd. That now
Yeah.
that it's
Not just
somebody
that.
close to
Not
you."
just that, but like who cares that it's suddenly your brother? He's still apparently a psychopath.
Don't get me started. This goes into a very long history of me hating the reveal that someone is someone's secret brother. I've hated
Yeah.
it for years. I've talked about it multiple times on this podcast. It is a pet peeve of mine because I like the other side of the coin stuff. Black Panther barely gets away. Barely gets away with Killmonger being a cousin. I like that. That's fine. That's close enough. But you
And
can
mostly because it's not
establish
even really like directly connected to T'Challa, but like other people's family stupidity.
more so, yeah, more so the rest of it. Like, but they do it in Luke Cage. Like, I'm watching this compelling ass show with Cottonmouth, and I'm loving it. Then they kill Cottonmouth, and they're like, "Oh no, we're bringing in Diamondback." And by the way, Diamondback's Luke Cage's brother, and
Yeah.
now it's brothers
Boo.
fighting. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what are we doing? And then I'm
Never
like,
watch
oh
Final Frontier, by the way. It's just going to upset you.
no. Then we phase out of Marvel Netflix, and I'm like, I should really pick up I got to really fill this like Daredevil gap in my life. Let me start reading some Daredevil. What's going on in Daredevil currently? Oh, Mike Murdock, secret brother of Matt Murdock. It's
Poorly named
currently,
at that.
and I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna take a pause. I'm watching Superman and Lois season 1, and it's like, by the way, Morgan Edge is Superman's secret brother. He has a secret half brother that he's never had before, but he has now. Tauro is now Superman's secret half brother. So there was a lot of this going on at a time, and I just think you can make familiarity and relationships without them having to be blood. Make them
Yeah.
elementary school friends or something. You understand? Make them,
Oh,
they want.
that's Hush. That's Hush then, and that's
Oh, there
terrible
you go.
also.
They played on the same softball team. Can we do something like that? They're on the same bowling team when they're in their 20s or something.
Isn't there also a few versions of Bruce and Penguin being that?
They play on fast and loose with anybody rich, and the Canes, anybody rich.
Basically, the idea
Maybe
that two rich people probably have met.
the Joker plays around with the idea of whether or not Thomas
Yeah.
Wayne is the father of
Actually,
Joker, in
right.
that,
That
and
never happened.
maybe those two are brothers. It's like they don't have
No.
to be. It
No
doesn't have to
idea
be
what you're talking.
destiny, man. It doesn't have to be destiny. Just leave it alone. Back in Mega City 1, Rico launches a wave of terror, assassinating over 100 judges in 2 days. He made this look way too easy. I'm like,
Not just that. Not just that. Not just that. I don't know if he makes this seem so easily, but it's like after like 20 of them would die, you'd
Yeah.
think they would call them in, be like, "Look, man, something's going on." Now
Yeah.
just keep throwing
Send
them out
wave,
there.
send wave
throwing them
after
out
wave of their own
There's
men.
a version of this film where like this is all done in distinct montage to like da 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 da.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just all that going on at the same time. But yeah, it's like This is he was very efficient. He's been thinking about this for a very long time. He's very efficient, and he gets
Yes.
his job done pretty quickly.
It's the
The kid,
greatest day of Rico's life.
yes, yes, it is. And he is chewing up the scenery. His line delivery is just as manic as Stallone's, and just like a almost quicker, punchier way and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah,
He's like, "You want
he's
change? I have to
nuts.
change." I'm like, "Oh my god, that guy
Oh
is
my
on
god. I am
all
the
the.
law.
He's on all the
I
Mega
am the
City coke.
revolution.
Yeah, it's that Mega City coke, bro. He's sniffing all that shit. I don't know,
There are just
gunpowder.
a lot of people in this film that are just like making it a little easier to watch.
Yeah, because you can tell that they're enjoying themselves, or at least kind of semi taking it seriously.
Well, I mean, because I mean, you got to read the script and just recognize, yo, everybody in this movie, even a subdued character like played by Max Van Dow, Judge Fargo, even
Yeah,
that
Yeah.
subdued character is still crazy. Like, wait. So you like this clone of a kid that apparently you created and raised so much that you're gonna walk into the desert to
Yeah.
yeah,
keep him alive in
The
prison?
the only detail that is missing is that the clone is absolutely of Fargo,
right.
which is why he feels so close to it.
Right.
Yes. And that's why I said, like, maybe it would have been like from the second I laid my eyes on you. I hated this project. I was one of the ones on the council who never wanted to do it. But the second I laid my eyes on you, I fell in love with you two crazy kids. And it's unfortunate what happened to your brother, but I always kept you like in my periphery. I always, I was happy every time you got promoted. I really liked seeing you become. I ain't got none of that. By the way, Rico's out and he's your brother. So sorry.
It would have
Not
been
only
great.
that, but
It would
like
have.
it sort of suggests that like the clone was perfectly binary.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you
A
were
good one
completely
good
good
and
and
one
Rico
bad.
was a complete psychopath.
Yes. Yes.
I would have loved it just at the last minute he would have snuck in. There is another Jedi.
Yeah, 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 right.
What?
That yeah,
What?
that is in the school of convenient deaths, to be honest. That's exactly what's going on here.
No,
Uh
see, that's the version of this where it's like we definitely didn't have 3 movies planned. So fucking Hershey kisses him, and then Hershey is revealed to be the sister.
bro, listen, as you were talking, I'm building this up in my head. I'm like, the cool thing would have been for him to say, like, somebody else, there is another twin of you, Dredd. And I think that they're plotting to kill you or whatever. And Rico's obviously the one doing it, but it's revealed at the end that it's fucking Hershey. And she's the one, like she's the one like, I'm gonna take
She
all this
pulls. She
over,
pulls.
Dredd.
She pulls a Agent Carter power broker kind of thing at the
Yeah, yeah.
Oh
At the end,
no.
and she just does some badass shit at the end,
end.
and it's like, oh, but instead she just kind of orders all her subordinates to do like data work for her and look up shit for her and do decipher Photoshop and stuff. And it's like, oh, this is just a baby. I was wondering what the picture was. Why would Dredd have a picture of Rico and his family? I don't understand in what universe that's a thing. He has a picture of himself and Rico, and then he has a picture of
Yeah.
Rico and his wife and his baby.
No. It's two separate photos.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah,
one
that's what I'm
photo.
saying. But why does he have the family portrait?
Well, maybe
Why
it
does
was
he have
just
the
the
photo
last.
of?
Well, it's a way to rope them in to be like, oh man, you were this baby. These are your parents. They died when you were a baby, and then like we took you in and took care of you. This is the only
No,
CGI.
I
I
think
mean
what George is
photo that
confused about
exists.
is that it looks like Dredd has a photo of baby Rico and his parents.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what I thought it
I
was.
didn't.
That's what be Baby Dread.
I didn't. That's supposed to be Baby Dread.
Oh, okay. I was
Baby
like, why
Dread
does
with
he?
his parents. Mm-mm.
Okay, okay. I thought it was supposed. I'm like, why does he have a baby picture of the guy, a person he was friends with that he arrested? Like, I don't get where
No,
that comes.
those are the only two pictures that matter to him. A picture of him and his parents, well, he thinks they're parents, and a
Yeah.
picture of him and his best friend that he had to judge.
I I do think I remember Diane Lane saying, "Oh, Baby Dread," or "Oh, something
I
about
can't
baby
believe
That's
something."
how to imagine you
she
as
was
a
like, that's
baby.
how you ever a baby, right?
Yeah. And yeah, I love that they just went to like the Homelander school of like making up a backstory for this genetically, created person here, full with
Well,
doctored
in the
photos.
in the comics, it's well known fact that almost all the judges are clones. So
Now, is it clones like
It's
stormtrooper
photography
clones where
now?
they all look the same?
I don't think so. I don't think
Okay.
so. I don't know the lore behind how they get these clones, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
known that they're disposable people essentially.
Mm.
There's a
Yeah.
Metallica song about this.
So great band. The so yeah, Wave of Terror. The chaos allows Griffin to pressure the remaining council to unlock the Janus files, intending to create a new army of clone judges to enforce the law of absolute control. When the council resists, Rico's murders them on Griffin's orders because Griffin's just using Rico to enact what he wants. Apparently, like Griffin is like a really upstanding member of the judges in the comic, so a lot of people were upset about this.
Uh,
He's like on a murder, has a murder boner for the poor.
yeah.
But yeah. Let me see. However, Rico turns on Griffin, replacing the Janus genetic sample with his own to create clones loyal only to him and his new family. And I know that because he tells us all that. He says, I'm going to replace. And then they only listen to me. When Griffin objects, Rico has his Smash Bot kill him, and Smash Bot does in impressive fashion.
Not smash. He rips.
Yes.
And again, that was a sign of how gruesome this movie was supposed to be. And all you see is like an arm kind of come off and then jam fall over the
Yes.
robot.
Yeah. So
This
this,
shortly after Rico convinces this woman in no time flat that
yeah,
like I think I'm the better choice.
it's like, yeah. Um, I was gonna say, did this film need to be a little bit more shoot 'em up than like Dry and whatever, like shoot 'em up like the actual parody movie? But I think you get more of that with Dredd, right?
Yeah.
The more fantastical, almost over dramatic violence. I think you get
Yes.
more of that with the remake in 2012. Is
Yeah,
it?
this was
Probably, yeah.
This was very basic. This was very basic 80s just shoot. Like I love even in a later scene when Diane Lane is being held by ABC Warrior and Stallone's just firing away at this thing like, "Oh, she's dead. She's
Yeah,
dead."
does it
But
does not matter. He does not
you know
care.
what I mean?
Not even
Whereas in
close to
Dread
caring.
in the Carl Urban Dread, it's very precise, it's very militaristic. People are just blown to splatter.
Yeah,
Even the final kill when he kills Cersei, I can't remember the
yeah,
character's name in the movie, but
yeah.
Cersei,
I know who you're talking about.
when he throws her off the building and she experiences it in slow motion, I was just like, that's amazing. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Like they're doing the drug or something like that. There's a drug in the
Yeah.
air or something,
He
slowing
Yeah.
no,
everything down.
he
No, there's a
administers
drug in her.
he
Oh,
administers the drug to her, so she experiences her death in slow motion. So she's falling through like 300 floors in slow motion.
But
that's
also like she's
amazing.
experiencing like the crash and the bone crunching in slow motion.
Oh no, that's pretty
Yeah.
It was
badass.
great.
That's pretty badass. Um, So Dredd and Fergie, now fugitives, return to Mega City 1 and reunite with Hershey, who has been investigating the Janus conspiracy. The trio heads to the Statue of Liberty, which secretly houses the Janus laboratory. The ABC Warrior injures Fergie and captures Hershey. Dredd confronts Rico at the lab. Rico gives him a chance to join the dark side. Together we are destined to reshape the city. Yada yada. You know the deal.
Take
Does
down
not
the
shoot
emperor.
lightning. Does not shoot lightning. There's no lightning discussion. No one gets their hands cut off.
Uh,
But Dredd does refuse this call to action. Rico prematurely activates the clones, even though it's warned that if they do, they'll be all like jacked up because they're not completed. Then they're like, please do not turn us on. They're like 60% done. It's like screw that. Fergie uses his hacking skills to shut down the ABC Warrior, but the clones are stillborn and unstable. The lab is destroyed in the ensuing chaos that they all cause, all the gunfire and all that stuff. Dredd and Rico battle to the top of the statue, where Dredd ultimately throws Rico to his death. That was very funny to me. Watching him get thrown to his death was very dramatic and very funny to
but
me.
also just like another great moment of Armando Asante just stealing scene
Oh yeah,
and
he's
just
loving
like
this.
hamming up the dialogue.
He's loving, and like I don't
We're
know.
charged of being human when we could have been gods.
Yes,
Guilty.
Yeah.
and like also like I don't. The normal trajectory would be right that Dredd is hard on law. and or has a hard on for the law, and
Yes.
he follows it to a T. He is then chewed up and spit out by that same system and realizes that it needs to change. But that's not the course in this. It is Judge
No.
Dredd loves the law. Somebody wants to do more law, and he's like, no, we just got to do the same amount of law as we were doing before. Like a
Right.
new law is brought in that makes it look worse. That is worse. It is worse. They're murdering people. Doesn't mean that Dredd's law is good, but in comparison, I guess you would choose Dredd's law over Griffin or Rico. But you almost had to introduce somebody like 10 times more cartoonishly villainous to get us to
Yeah.
agree to that the regular way that we've been doing this is fine. Because I feel like in the beginning of this film, we were shown that the regular way that they are doing things is not fine.
Yeah. And
Like
by
the
the
whole
end of the movie,
locking
it's
up
always
Rob
just like,
Schneider
well,
stuff.
return to systemic oppression.
That's what I'm saying. Like it
Your
doesn't go.
regularly
It doesn't.
scheduled systemic oppression.
There's a moment there, and let me see. Let me get to it. So, in the aftermath, Mega City One Central Computer Central broadcasts the truth about the Janus Project and Rico's crimes. I love that because they come
Mhm.
outside and they're like, "Oh, we're getting arrested, huh?" It's like, no, we just saw up there. They just told us that you were the good guy, so everything's
It
cool.
tells you the good guy, so it wipes away the fact that like in the remember the car chase, the flying car chase.
Yes, where he
The
murdered.
he's killing people, and then they blow up a building.
Yeah,
So that's all kosher. It's like, oh no, no, it was okay because you were trying to, or give retribution to yourself. So the
Catch the
fact that
bad
you,
man.
right,
yes.
the fact that you blew up a building and killed some people, and who knows how much chaos fell to the ground and killed who knows how many people.
But
It's
the
okay.
Mega City One version of Alex Jones told us that you were you're on the up and up, so everything is good. But this is the moment I'm talking about, right? The remaining judges are all like, "Hey, we all talked about it, and like you should be chief judge or chief." It's not chief judge. It's chief judge in the comics. It's chief justice. You should be chief justice. And like, there's a pause, and he's like, "No," and I'm like, "Oh, this is the no. The system's broken. We need a
Yeah.
new whatever, whatever." He goes, "No. I'm going back to being a beat cop." And he gets on his motorcycle and fucking leaves. So
No,
nothing
he
has
doesn't.
changed.
He doesn't leave. He pulls up to some spot in the city and poses.
Oh yeah, that is true. Before, but not before getting kissed by Diane Lane on the cheek and putting on his helmet
Yeah.
again. Quite, which is all quite
Ah,
interesting.
so like
But
I
the whole
kind of want
the
to talk
shit.
about the. Go ahead.
No, no, we're saying.
Okay, so I kind of want to talk about the scene where like they have the actual like Rico and Judge face off, and sort of to piggyback off what George was saying, it's like I think we had this issue when we were watching Captain America, well not like Falcon Winter Soldier, and we talked about this and a few other things where like you had to make the villain especially bad when he starts making all the right points about how the only thing he turned on was this oppressive machine that made clones out of them to, to oppress people.
Yeah, because the flag smashers are completely valid in being displaced post snap, and everything seems right, and then it's like, oh, and we need to bomb children's hospitals.
Like,
Killmonger seems like he knows what he's talking about, and
you're
then he's
so
like,
close.
we need to murder all the everybody else basically, and it's the same thing in here. They had to make a mustache twirly because if not, you'd be like, oh, he's the hero. He's someone who was born. He didn't choose this lot in life. Literally anything that you would think, the anger, whether you think he's sadistic, whether you think that he's a
Yeah,
sociopathic, that's
like even the
programmed
fact that
into
he is a
him. You
psychopath, he was
you
made
made
that
that.
way.
That's what I'm saying. You made him into that. So there's a story here of Judge Rico, but breaking out of the chains of oppression,
Yeah,
like fighting against his destiny uphill, and bringing it. But then again, now we need killer clones,
yeah.
and then the killer
And like
clone thing.
what Alex was said was beginning, like in the liner notes, there's a story, there's a movie here
There's like three different movies
that
here that
does
would have been
not
like
get made.
that would have been really 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 good. Um, I
And
yeah.
all whatever subtlety and actual like um or is it whatever subtlety and actual substance it's almost immediately ruined by Amanda Santi just going yeah. as
Yes.
high as he can open his mouth.
100%. That man is animated in this, and like I said, I feel like everybody is. It's it was. This is like pure popcorn,
Yeah,
pure popcorn fun. I didn't have any malicious thoughts thinking into it. I don't think you should watch this and think of, and like look for a bunch of depth. And again, I don't know how happy this makes you as a Judge Dredd fan. Like if you're a super Dredd head and you've been reading all the 2000 AD stuff, this might absolutely suck to you. But as someone
yeah.
who had no background watching it, just felt like a very serviceable 90s action movie. Didn't really hate anybody in it. I thought Rob Schneider was extremely reserved given his filmography. Love Diane Lane. I'd watch a Judge Hershey movie. I'd watch a Judge Hershey series. Give me that.
Yep, yep.
And she felt confident and vulnerable and like all the things that I would like in a main character. I think that's why I kind of like lean towards her. Even like
It's actually
Judge.
one of the strengths of Dredd that like Dredd is kind of not like the main character in a sense.
Mhm.
It's the not Psycho, it's the girl who's got like the mental powers.
Oh, and Dredd. Yeah. I forget her.
Yeah,
I forget her name too. But yeah, I was
yeah.
thinking she's similar. Yeah.
I don't remember her name yet, but like she's got the like I think it's,
The psychic powers.
the psychic powers. Yes, that's the word I was looking for. She's got the psychic powers, and everything is like positioned as this girl going through the system as a rookie, being paired with this Dredd guy.
And he's in Over the Top by the book.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like I'd watch them as a buddy cop thing. I think that she smooths out his rough edges. But this film, to me, especially the ending, reeks of that Simpsons meme of Principal Skinner doing the whole,
it's the children who are wrong.
yeah. Was it me or was it everybody else who was wrong? Because that's ultimately what it is. He's done nothing wrong.
Yeah,
He was arrested for a crime he shouldn't have committed, and he just went back to work.
Yeah, I mean earlier in the movie when they're gonna run through the flame tunnel, Rob Schneider's like trying to get him to apologize. He's like, I never apologize.
Yeah, I don't.
He doesn't.
Yeah.
And then they run through the flame tunnel.
Yeah.
And even then, like Stallone is giving these performances where it's like he is the character of Dredd is contemplating the things people are saying to him. You can tell that, at least in his face, that like he's giving some attention and some thought to the ideas people are giving him. But by the end of the movie, he's learned nothing.
No. And also by the end of the movie,
he doesn't even realize the system fucked him.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm gonna go back to work now. Everything's cool.
Yeah. That's why it screams like the whole like death wish, like, almost like vengeance porn kind of, like it's the system against me, it's the city against me, but ultimately I will be shown to be the right. I was right there all along, and I don't owe anyone any apologies. I don't owe anyone any kisses. But in admitting that he has nothing else to live for but the law, I think that was the least compelling part of this character. Maybe if they gave me a reason why he felt that way,
maybe.
why he's so hard on the law, because I don't know. So I don't even know. I can't make a backstory for him right now. But yeah, like once he told me he didn't care about anything else, and once Diane Lane said that she had friends, I instantly was on Diane Lane's side. I'm like, I want to hear about these friends. What are you doing after work?
I assume that's part. I assume that's almost part of like of Dredd's programming.
That he wouldn't do it. That makes sense.
Like there's a version of this story where it's a part of Dredd's programming to have no interest in anything other than the law, and the only person he connect to was the other piece of him.
Like the two pieces find two ships finding each other, or like yeah. That makes a lot of sense. That because I can see them in the process of making these clones going, we don't have enough credits for both for both one-liners and
substance.
Social interactions. And they're like, all right, screw it. Set social interactions to 0, set accuracy, power, defense to 10. We don't have time for him to make friends. He will not be programmed to make friends. And yeah, I guess if they would have really leaned on that aspect of it, everything else is explained. If you think that the character is acting wooden, he's a clone. If you think the character is one-dimensional, he's a clone. If you think, you know what I'm saying? If you think that this was like just was a snake eating its own tail of a story, well, he's a clone.
Yeah.
That's what he's meant
But
to
not
do. He
just
only
a
has,
clone, but a genetically engineered super cop.
yes, to made to do that at all
Yeah.
times.
It's
So
the most concrete example would be like the way they explain Zod in Man of Steel. Like he was
yes,
genetically created for this position in
just
life.
that job. That Bruce Banner, I was made for this
Yeah.
moment there. But yeah, I'm very glad I watched this movie. I'm very glad that we have comic book cliques so we can sit here and talk about it. I don't know what other reason I would have had to watch this unless a third Dread would have come out or something.
Yeah.
I love looking.
I want to make the point to say
Mm,
Hershey's the only cop in this movie who does any investigative work.
That's right.
that's also very true. Again, they saw that footage and was like, open and shut. This is look at that's obviously Judge Dredd. He has Judge Dredd's badge. I think that's
Right. That's it.
that's the peak of investigation that we have
We
there.
let one of the other rookies look at a picture and he's like, this is fake. What?
Yeah, basically, yeah. And it took them 3 hours. It took him 3 hours. Remember, because he was like, you analyzed the wrong picture. Like,
Listen. By 95 standards, that was unbelievably fast computing speed right there. Okay.
that is true. And those are billable
Re-
hours.
remember trying to download an MP3 on Napster on
It's just,
56K?
or I remember trying to download photos of Trish Stratus from WWE.com and going,
No,
eh.
I remember trying to download the music video for In Your End, and then my sister picking up the phone to call somebody.
Ah,
Percent through. No.
et tu, Brute. I'm telling you, so it be your own. It be your own.
Where did you bury your sister?
Right?
Listen, not all skin folk is kinfolk, dog.
Hey, gang. I love being able to tackle this. It's definitely of the time. We just did Sin City, which I also watched for the first time. Again, very much of the time there. I don't know, like the other Dread is seemingly more faithful to the comic, but did that underperform? Was that the issue with that one?
Yes,
I don't think
it was,
yeah.
but it was critically acclaimed, but
Yes.
it underperformed because it came out right around the same time as the movie the Raid. So a lot of people were like, "Oh, I saw the
Really?
Raid, so I've seen this." Yeah, the
Single
Raid came
building.
out like, yeah, it came out like almost like within 6 months to a year apart. So people were just like, and I think also they remembered this movie and were like, "Oh, we're doing that again? That was corny."
It also came out.
Surprising.
Let me just make sure. Yeah, it also came out the same year as the Avengers.
2012. Damn, that was a while ago.
Yeah, bro. For some reason I was thinking like it was in the higher of that sort of. I didn't even know it was produced by Alex Garland. He's doing a lot of stuff right now.
I saw that one in theaters too, and I told people, I said, guys, even though it's similar to the Raid, it's not the Raid. Go give it a chance, please, because it's so good. And
I feel like the only thing that's really similar about it is that it has some kind of tower climb.
That's it, right? But
aspect.
people were just like,
well, that's the thing. So, just like Alex was saying, the Raid was actually released in Indonesia in 2011, but the American
Yeah.
version of the film was released on DVD and Blu-ray on August 14th, and Dread comes out September of 2012, the month after. So, yeah, the Raid was revolutionary. People, blew a lot of people's minds, created a lot of new styles of action and new directing. And yeah, sometimes it's not even about one being worse than the other. Just you people saw Dr. Fate and were like, oh, they're just aping Doctor Strange, and it's like,
Yeah,
pick one of them. Yeah, it's like, but you can't blame them. Like they done seen Doctor Strange 15 times, and now they just see the Doctor Fate once. If he was around for so long, why did it take so long for us to see him? So stuff like that. And, this fits very much in 95. Does feel like Batman Forever to me. I think it's not terrible. It has some redeeming qualities, but it is bogged down by what a lot of comic book movies were bogged down by at the time, was in showcasing the lead actor in sacrifice of the story. This is this is Krypton again, all over again, right? This is Marlon Brando writing
Uh,
his lines on the baby that he has to hold, so
I was
he
like
can
Krypton. What?
so he can
Wait,
uh,
really?
The way he said Krypton,
Krypton.
he didn't say Krypton, he said Krypton.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he couldn't even be
Yeah.
bothered to pronounce it right. I gotta come out. What I'm gonna do, and I'm probably gonna put it up on comicbookclique.com's Facebook in a bit, is I want to put. There's a very famous Letterman interview with Christopher Reeve, where he basically is like, "Yeah, Brando's terrible. Like he came here and whatever." And but I want to put like the ether instrumental behind it,
Oh,
the
okay.
Nas ether instrumental, and have my man come out, Jarrell. Gang, gang. I hope they do more with this. I do hope Mega City 1 becomes something worth the damn. I think this is something pretty interesting to kind of deal with, especially in a world now where even the word policing is a hot button topic. Right now, we are dealing with protests and riots and whether or not we're supposed to show force, how much force we're supposed to show, what kind of, officers or enforcers should be allowed out there. I feel like this opens all those discussions, but the way they end this film kind of shows that they were never really interested in having those discussions in the first place. So
Yeah.
it's a shame when something that is made a parody has all of the parody removed. I think that's a little bit of the fear that other CBC correspondent Jonathan Escudero has about The Boys. He believes that that should have been all joke parody, and the fact that they're even trying to put any kind of sentimentality into it just kind of slaps the face of the joke. But yeah, there is a balance that these things are supposed to have. But regardless, I'm glad that I saw this, because every time I watch one of these films, especially in these early days of trying to get comic book properties made, I have a new notch on the ruler. So now there's a notch on
Mm.
the good bad ruler that says Judge Dredd 1995. There's a notch on the ruler that says Sin City, 2005. So now when I judge a film, I have more of a scope, more of a spectrum as to what goes on here. And just the tried and true um back and forth always at all times when it comes to these superhero things. Turns out, like this whole scuttlebutt we're hearing about Blade being hard to nail, or the Batman 2 like still being up in the air, and all the stuff that we're going with that all seems like new stuff because comic book properties are hotter than ever. But no, we've been dealing with this bullshit production woe stuff, back and forth egos and script changes, all that stuff from the very beginning. So it's cool to kind of look back to when I was 6 to see that this kind of has always been a thing.
But what I like nowadays, it's back then, if there was script or production issues, it was because, oh, the actor wants more time or the actor wants to change things. Now it feels like the production issues are because, no, we want to make this as solid and faithful to that property as possible. So that's
Yeah,
what
Yeah.
I'm happy with it.
100%. GT, do you have any last words on Dredd? Judge Dredd. I kind of get it confused with the with the with the sequel.
Um, not particularly. Like I think as we all discovered here, like it's pretty sad that there was kind of almost a good movie, a really good movie under all of this. It's definitely a film. It's a film of its time, not only because of like the sort of interesting sci-fi stuff that was going on, because we were inching closer and closer to the year 2000, but
Yeah,
also because of, I guess I guess you would say it was the last bastion of like movie stars with uh such clear power over a production.
yeah,
And at the end, I just like, man, it was a fun movie, but I guess like, yeah, there was so much more that could have been done with it, and there was
yeah.
so much more that was left in it that just leaves you with that smell of just like, oh, there was something here.
I still hope that even regardless of it not being a one-to-one adaptation, I hope that if people were interested in this, that it did get them into Dread books or 2000
Mm,
AD. I hope that it did create, because it almost can't not, right? You didn't know this thing existed, and then you see Stallone in it, right? So like, it almost had to have made some fans somewhere. Maybe those people stopped being
yeah.
fans of this film, and just kept being fans of the comic. But at least, I'm just glad the IP got out there, especially not, this is not one of the big two, you know. Um, so yeah, I especially love that. Alex, any last words on Judge Dredd?
Yeah, I mean, I still have nostalgia for this movie, and what was really
Mm,
fun watching it this time is I purposely wanted to watch it with my son, who is
okay.
15. So I wanted to see how a teenager nowadays would see this movie.
Hmm.
And watching it with him, he immediately saw through like, wow, this is a goofy, silly movie.
Yeah,
So and for him, he knows what Stallone means to me as far as my father, his grandfather.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
I can see him like side eyeing me, being like, "You like this thing?"
No, I get it. I can dig it. And
It's
they
like
said
it's
watching it with somebody, it's worth it. It's definitely worth it, especially if they've never seen it. I've never seen it. I watched it with somebody who's never seen it, and yeah, the looks we gave each other back and forth, especially in that moment where he grenades the guy's car, and like it's obviously a cut shot of just the car
Happy
exploding.
motoring.
Yeah, I don't think you ever see the bullet like go into the car and explode. It's like a shot of
No.
him shooting the car and then a shot of the car exploding. It's like two completely different shots. Last I gotta say, like I said, I think it's worth watching just to watch. And if you can watch it with the
yeah,
idea that it's supposed to be a parody, I think it's even more enjoyable. But the
Hmm.
last thing I have to say about this is for a decade of where people were extremely not only paranoid but just adamant in depicting America as to falling into a dystopian hellscape, we really didn't do anything to stop that, have we? like, like for this to be such an ongoing fear, for it to be in every piece of media in the 90s, we really didn't do a lot to make sure that corporations didn't take over, that authoritarian practices and all that stuff wouldn't take over. I think we just became these movies, and now it is what it is. It's quite interesting that it's. I remember at one point Alan Moore being like, "Yeah, V for Vendetta was supposed to be a fucking documentary." Like now there's cameras on every corner. That was like one of the tropes. Was like, oh, in England in 19, he wrote like in the 1980s, and it's like, oh, cameras on every corner. That's what kind of world is that? Curfews where people making sure you're in your house at a certain time, and we dealt with all that shit already. So, just interesting, sign of the times, and I would really like to see one with a new scope. But talking about the woes of superhero production, we are getting ready for a embarrassment of riches, one of the biggest times in superhero history, damn near ever, that I could ever remember. That two gigantic IPs are getting their films in a 2 week period between Fantastic Four: First Steps and Superman. But because of all the steps it takes to both greenlight both of those films, who have had some past failures. In the, when you think about things like Quest for Peace, when you think about things like Fan Four Stick, Superman Returns, they've had versions of their IP that people didn't dig. I was very interested in how people could get such iconic characters wrong. So next week on the Major Issues podcast, we will be discussing the documentary "The Death of Superman Lives: What Happened," to
Oh
learn
dear.
about the failed Superman film of the 90s and the reason why we never got a Superman film in the 90s. So more
Giant
90s
fucking
talk.
spider.
More giant wow! Yes, how next week's episode will tie into the Wild Wild West? Tune in to figure out, because it definitely does. But yeah, man, we're just having a blast right now going through some of these '90s movies. After that, we will tackle Truth, Red, White, and Black. I believe is
Mm.
that the Isaiah
hmm
Bradley thing in
Isaiah
time for
Bradley,
4th of July.
Origin.
Yep. Then we got All Star Superman coming up, and then we'll be tackling those movies. Super excited. I was able to get one of those IMAX early screenings, so I'll be
Hey.
checking the film out on a Tuesday before it actually comes out. And to me, that's a sign that they are proud of this film, because I believe what they are hoping is that everyone who sees it on Tuesday uses their word of mouth to get people out that weekend. If that wasn't the case, they would have just waited for everyone to go watch that weekend. If you liked it, you liked it. You didn't, you didn't. They got your money. Doesn't matter. But I think they're hoping that word of mouth carries from Tuesday to Friday, at least to the weekend, to get people to watch those movies. But
To some
regardless,
degree, we're back in that space where it's like not Jesus Christ, WB is looking at this like at a Superman movie and just like, this needs to be $1 billion film.
yes, yes. And I mean, I don't know if I could take another like meh Fantastic Four film either. Like the MCU may not
Yeah.
be contingent on the Fantastic Four movie doing well, but my fandom is a little bit like if y'all can't nail this for the fifth time, I think I have a
Yeah.
reason to believe that this may not be possible. Like what is going on? So stay paying attention to all things that we do here as part of Comic Book Click, because we're going to tackle all that kind of stuff, and that's all we do here as Comic Book Click. If you go to comicbookclick.com, you will find articles written by us, you will find news broken by us, every piece of the Major Issues podcast is on there, every single episode. Over 380 episodes are currently on there, covering every movie released from 2017 and beyond, and then we do retro reviews like this. We got some big things coming, like I said, in podcast form, but we also have a bunch of other video series that are coming out with now. We do major previews once a month. Alex the Cog does his weekly hauls where he shows off the books that he picks up every week and explains what's been going on with them and why you should pick them up. Like I said, previews once a month where we tell you what are they going to be the hottest and latest and greatest comics to come out. We are proud and pleased to announce a new collaboration with Snap Judgments, who is making a video series for us, debuting new Marvel Snap cards on our official YouTube page, and they are killing the game in all things Marvel Snap. So happy for that relationship
Well,
because
that's why we started talking about metas.
yes, a rising tide raises all ships, and the guy, the work over there at Snap Judgments, the crew over there. I mean, the guy over there is really killing the game, and really proud to be working alongside him in the growth of everything Comic Book Click. We are in the awkward stage of growing. One time my leg is a little bit bigger than the other, and sometimes we're a little bit tall and our back hurts. But we are definitely in a growing stage here at Comic Book Click. So just like our fans got us to this point, we need them to help us get to our next point. So you can do so by following us wherever we are: Facebook.com/Comic Book Click, Instagram at Comic Book Click, or use the hashtag Comic Book Click to talk about the newest, hottest, latest, and greatest things to come to comic books and comic book media. We're at Major Issues CBC on Twitter. We're also at Major Issues CBC on Twitch. You can look up Comic Book Click on things like YouTube and more. Look up Major Issues Podcast. We're the first ones that pop up. Real easy. And we have a patreon.com/CBC Clubhouse where for as little as 10 cents a day, $3 a month, you can help us keep our lights on here and afford the hardware and the software that we need to keep providing you guys this content free of charge. Major Issues is free. Major Previews is free. Our Snatch Judgments is free. 5 Fast Facts is free. Alex's Weekly Hauls is free. Following us on social media is free. So if you can give us any sort of kickback for any of that hard work, we appreciate it tremendously. Like I said, everything that we do is available at comicbookclick.com, but that's not all, because we share that spot with the lovely folks over at Dirt Sheet Radio, the industry leaders in all things professional wrestling and pop culture. Those guys are constantly killing the game. They are now doing Spanish Spanish pay-per-views, pay-per-views from Mexico, pay-per-views from Japan. America has one every Saturday, I think, at this point, between the
It
four
seems like
companies
it.
that does it. It's hard, people. It's hard to be the party starter, the one that has to open the door, start the party, stay in the party, and then clean up when the party's done. But the guys over there at Dirt Sheet Radio always has something going on. Turn on the Dirt Sheet Radio. There's always something playing. Those guys work tirelessly and do a great job over there. And I've been to the future where both Dirt Sheet Radio and Comic Book Click become the industry leaders. We're on floor 1000 in Mega City 1. Industry leaders in all things professional wrestling, comic books, and pop culture. And I've seen that stuff, but I can't tell you how we do it because then I'll mess up the timeline. And next thing you know, we get a Judge Dredd reboot, and it's The Rock and Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart.
Oh, God damn it.
Kevin Hart's playing Fergie, and Aquafina is playing
Oh my!
Judge
That is not
Hershey.
where
Hey yo!
that
You
is
gotta go
not
with
where
that
I
building.
went.
No, where'd
That
you
is
go?
not where I
Gal
went.
Gadot?
I had Hershey as Tiffany Haddish.
Oh yeah, I could put that. I could put Hershey as Tiffany Haddish. For some reason, I got Godot in there anyway to go. No,
Oh,
don't. So don't mess up the timeline. Get on the
Gal Gadot
bandwagon.
would be the villain.
Yes, you would. She normally is.
Woof.
But get on the bandwagon before the bandwagon gets full. Join us next week for that episode of the podcast, and join us everywhere, man. We got so much stuff coming out. There's no more excuses. And Yeah, I think that's all I got left for this episode. So there's nothing else for me to say. But my name is George Serrano, aka the Don.
And I'm Alex Garcia, aka the Cog.
I'm Gregory Thomas, aka GT Rebirth.
And this has been our Judge Dredd 1995 recap and review just in time for his 30th year anniversary. And remember, whether you believe in the law, break the law, or are the law, remember that we are the clique. And always remember that you, yes, you are worthy.